I am Ben Newman, performance coach, speaker, and author, and couldn't be any more excited about the opportunity to be with you for this year's Power of Positive Summit. What an incredible group of speakers coming together during an incredibly trying time where we have fears, doubts, and uncertainties about what lies ahead. But what I have found in being inspired by so many individuals and hearing their stories over the last year is that when we choose to respond to challenge and adversity in a positive way, it's incredible the stories that we can write. Now, I know each of us is going to respond differently to COVID, the political circumstances of the last year, social injustice issues in this world that just need to end. And then there's also personal issues that you might be dealing with, challenges in our lives. I certainly have faced challenge my entire life. It's made me a very emotional guy. I'm one of those guys, I cry when I watch Extreme Home Makeovers. So I'm right there with you. But I've found that in life, it's about our ability to get back up one more time than we've been knocked down, and recognizing that we don't have to do that alone. I had to grow up fast. My parents were divorced when I was 6 months old, never knew them together. Mother diagnosed a handful of years later from a rare muscle disease, amyloidosis. Amyloidosis, 11 days before my 8th birthday, ended up taking my mother's life. But my mother has left a legacy behind from her mindset in leaving a journal behind that said things such as beat the statistics, beat the odds, live with a disease that is chronic and fatal, believe in yourself, combat anything, purpose in life. My mother taught me what it means to have passion and conviction and fire and positivity in our lives. My mother taught me what it means to choose how you show up every single day as you write your story. Losing my mother has made me a very emotional guy, as I mentioned earlier. Oftentimes it's made life tough. It's made life seem to have significant challenges. But I've always been blessed to have mentors and coaches in my life to help me get up off that mat of life. And I know I'm not the only one that's part of this summit that has a story. Each and every single one of you, you have a story of challenge and adversity that helps you realize there's a fight inside of you. And during periods of time with this fear and uncertainty, it's important that we remember to shift our perspective to those tough times we've been through to know that you have the strength to keep fighting. And I would also highlight, we're never finished. No matter what levels of success you've reached, no matter the success you've had from embracing challenge and adversity, don't be seduced by success. Continue to show up every single day, finding your edge in the details to attack your next level. It's why I still have 2 coaches. Yes, even though I work with Alabama football, some of the fastest growing companies in the world, billion-dollar organizations, I still have 2 coaches. I have great mentors. I read books every day because we are never finished. So I want to talk to you today about 2 mindsets, a required mindset and then the unrequired mindset that will help you on your journey. To talk about the required mindset, I want you to think for yourself, what is the single most important daily discipline professionally that when you follow through with it on a daily basis, you'd have the ability to look in the mirror and say, today I gave it my very best? What would that one daily discipline or habit be? I want you to think about that for me. Put it on your proverbial mental shelf, maybe write it down on paper. What would that one thing be? Now, because I care that much, I'm going to ask you a tough and challenging question. And remember, this is us through a screen. So nobody's going to see you raise your hand. Nobody's going to see your answers. Nobody nod your head. This is between you and I, like it's one-on-one coaching. So you just wrote down the single most important daily discipline for you to know that you can look in the mirror and say, I've given it my very best, because that's winning. Over the last 30 days, how have you shown up in regard to that single most important daily discipline? Have you been a 5? Have you been a 7? Have you been an 8? If we're anything less than a 9 and we're talking about something that's 100% in our control, there's an area of opportunity for us to do the required to be great in our lives. And so oftentimes we fall short of doing what's required because maybe we had great success yesterday. Maybe we think we're going to have great success tomorrow. Or maybe there's challenge and adversity that's holding us back. But it's important for all of us to recognize, don't allow your feelings to dictate how you show up. Create a standard, a process that you live by every single day. And then make the choice to hammer it, to attack it. I love saying attack the process every single day. That's a choice. And so before we can even talk about the unrequired mindset, we have to talk about this required mindset. Because you can't get to the unrequired until you've done the required. We can't skip the steps. Even though oftentimes we'd love to jump ahead, you have to have a willingness to put in the work that it takes to achieve success in our lives. So here's what I would share with you. Couple of things. Number one, what if for the next 30 days you take all these messages from these incredible speakers through the summit and you decided over the next 30 days, I'm going to lock in and I'm going to be over a 9. Why do I not say a 10? Because the only perfection is upstairs, right? Something might happen, it might pull you off, but let's all average over a 9. What if you did that with that single most important daily discipline over the next 30 days? What would happen in your life and the momentum in your business? It would take off. And then the second thing, what if you connected to your burn every single day? Your burn is that fire that lies inside of you. So many speakers and coaches, they talk about why and purpose, but they forget to talk about that burn that ignites your why and your purpose that then causes you to take the necessary action. Over the next 30 days, try waking up and connecting to your burn every single day. That's how I start my days. It's the alarm on my phone. It says Janet Fishman Newman Legacy, and then I write it in what I call a burn journal every morning to remind me that when I think of my mother and her fight, there's no going back to bed. There's no hitting the snooze button. So what happens if you fight to be a 9+ on that single most important daily discipline, and then you connect to your burn? I'll tell you what'll happen. Your calendar's going to become more full. Your opportunities will become more robust. And then here's what's going to happen. There's going to be a little voice on your shoulder that starts to say, you don't have to do that single most important daily discipline anymore. You can actually pull back from it. This is the mindset that we must talk about. I call this the power of 5. This is how you silence the seduction of success. So if one of your answers, let's say you were in sales, was 20 dials a day, and I actually call them POCs, a point of contact. That's I'm open for business. Text message, email, phone call, LinkedIn message, 20 times in a day. If you do that, you can look in the mirror and say you've given it your very best. And then you work 20 days in a month. That would be 20 times 20, would be 400 times in a month, would be your goal, your process-based goal, your daily discipline. 400 times, you do that in a month, you'll know that you've given it your very best. That's what you could do over the next 30 days. But then once you start getting results, here's what we naturally do. Our feelings start to get in the way. And then we listen to that little voice and we say, we don't have to do the 20 anymore. Maybe we'll just do 15. And we forget to extrapolate the math. If you fall short by 5 in one day, it doesn't seem like a big deal. Fall short by 5 days in a week is 25 times. Fall short by 25 times in a week, times 4 weeks in a month, is 100 times you'd make the conscious choice to not do what you said you were going to do. Times that by 12 months in a year would be 1,200 times you fell short of the required work for you to know that you've given it your very best. 1,200 divided by 3 is 400. That's your monthly goal. I say divided by 3 because that's 3 months that you would miss over the course of a year of actually showing up. You know, so oftentimes we have frustration because we say, I'm showing up, I'm physically here at work. But I hear so many people, they talk about how great they want to be, but then when we have a conversation with their action, we hear a different story. So even though you might be physically showing up, if you're not following through with the daily action steps, you may miss 3 months. If you only do 50% of what's needed, that was 10, you may be showing up 6 months. So when you think back to the big goals that you had for the year, you have to ask yourself, would you have a higher probability of hitting your goals if you were to do 6 months or 9 months of work or the full 12 months of required work? Let's tackle this new mindset. Choose to not be seduced by success. The highest performers in the world, they live to a standard. They don't allow their feelings to dictate how they show up. 2 ways I can highlight this. Incredible run. I've had 4 years working with the Alabama football program. In that building, they're always looking for ways to get better every single day. This year, all the way through the national championship game, they thought about standard over feelings. It became part of the mantra and the mindset of the program. And the players did the work every day. Another one of my high-performing clients in the business world, his name is Claudio, one of the top financial advisors in the world. I asked Claudio one time, what makes you great? And he said, it doesn't matter what I did yesterday. It doesn't matter what I think I'm going to do tomorrow. If I don't show up and do what I said I was going to do today, the amount of guilt that I live with is too much for me to handle. I would rather just do the work. Alabama and Claudio give us examples of what it means to do the required work. And once you've done the required work, then we can talk about that unrequired mindset. The unrequired mindset is what the greatest champions do, the highest performers. Those highest performers recognize the unrequired are the things that other people won't do, they won't talk about. They can't even see that we as high performers choose to make a priority. The unrequired would be just that little bit extra, not twice as much. If we look at this example of 20 POCs in a day, all I would ask you over the next 30 days, honor the required and then add 10%. So if yours is another daily discipline you wrote down, add 10% to it. Just add 10%. That extra 2 extrapolated through the course of a year would mean you'll probably end up working 15 months. And then people say, gosh, look at her, look at everything that she does. How does she do it? Well, she must just get leads. Somebody must be helping. Somebody might be giving her an edge. No. She shows up and she does what she says she's going to do, and then she does the extra. It's the unrequired mindset that the greatest champions embrace. It's living to a standard that the greatest champions in life understand. And living to that standard, understanding that you have a choice to do the required work, will keep you positive through challenging times. And then doing the unrequired is going to help you drive success when other people are waiting on the sideline to see what happens during this period of time. Don't get stuck on the sidelines. Stay connected to that burn that lies inside of you. Identify your standard and the work that will cause you to be great one day at a time. Have the ability to look yourself in the mirror at the end of every single day and say, today I gave it my very best. If you can do that, nobody can ever take that away from you, and nobody can ever ask any more of you than you giving it your very best. We get there by embracing the required and doing the unrequired. And the last thing I'd share with you, you don't have to do it alone. One thing that the pandemic and the challenges of the last year has helped me realize is that when you surround yourself with powerful teams, powerful individuals, we can accomplish so much more. We don't have to go at it alone. It's a great lesson that we have learned from John Gordon in so many of his books and how he brings us all together to do this every single year. John always talks about the power of team. I love the example that he sets and so many of the other speakers and leaders that are part of this program, and so many of you who are leading teams right now. Whether it's your team at home or your team in business or in sports. Let's keep fighting together. Let's choose to stay in the ring and fight. Let's choose to be stronger and positive together. One step at a time, one punch at a time, one round at a time. Connect to your burn. Do the required, then do the unrequired. And enjoy every single one of the messages of all the amazing leaders and speakers that are part of this year's Power of Positive Summit. Don't ever stop believing you, and don't ever forget that everything you need is already in you. Continue to go do great things.